Sometimes people ask me, just how do we get to, one perfect radio? Well, for example, this is a GEB model, which we've recapped this board and done a few bits to. Brand new selector in there for a 40 channel selector, supplied by my good mate Ed up there in Queensland. Thank you, mate. That really has come in so handy. And what we do is, there's a excuse me, a pack of B models there. Here is more B model boards and bits and pieces, and the truth is we take the best of everything and we try and make one very, very nice one, and then the rest of it we sort of get rid of, obviously. But this is one of the cleanest fronts I've ever been able to find. A couple of very small marks, but nothing really sort of to worry about, and that'll be going on this particular unit here, and we'll give this a test in a minute. I've just been doing the tune-up procedure, and everything's coming up very well. And so I'm just listening to Paul and Maria up on 7144 at the moment, and a park, and coming through beautifully. Actually, I'll just look at the signal. There you go. Actually, I should have caught Maria on there because she sounds better. Anyway, so basically this one had a crystal oscillator fault as well. But it was probably the cleanest uncut circuit as far as internally. It didn't have any tracks cut or anything, no modifications made to it, etc. So it was well worth replacing a few caps and bits and pieces and making it into a nice radio. All right, let's put it back together and just see how it works. Better work. It's been a bit of work on this one. As you can tell, I had to pull out my tune-up procedures and bits. I'd forgotten. I haven't done a B model for a while, and the old story. Don't guess. Pull out the paperwork. Makes life so much easier. Just a point on GEB models and VCO blocks, because they're a pain because you've got to pull the board out. This is a modified VCO block, which you'll never have a trouble with that particular one. It's but compared to the normal green ones that we have on these boards here that go faulty all the time, very often you'll see the slugs in them that are in trouble. And what's this board? Is this? Oh yeah. See, this is a problem. It's a hard life. But anyway, but put that over there. But you can see that the I'm trying to remember where we got these from. I get VCO blocks from all over the world, to be honest, different manufacturers and different ones who do them. If you recognise the 043 on the side and it's your brand of VCO block, just remind me, because honestly we've got a few different versions. I think we've had some in from Razor up there in Queensland, and some in from the UK, and actually a couple of providers in the UK. So anyway, all right, let's put it back together. Now, one of the things we're always looking for is covers. We need the best set of covers. Now, wouldn't you love it if this cover was perfect? It's even got the original sticker on it, and very, very rare to get one with a sticker on it. But unfortunately, I don't think we'd use this one. As much as I'd like to have the sticker would have to be in really good condition. So what my job is now is to go through, work out, righto, which two covers. What was this one? Oh, another B model. Okay, so someone's done some cap mods to that one. Not quite how you do the cap mod, but if you've got a cap that's too big, I suppose you've got to do it that way. Don't know where that one came from. To be very, oh boy, yeah. See, once again, whoa. Okay, yeah. I get very discouraged when I see stuff like that. I think, I know it'll happen in the day. It is what it is, but yeah. Okay, so things like this, obviously, we don't use, so we've got a few covers to go through, and we want to clean up the best ones possible to go on there. Something I'd forgotten about, actually. And generally something like this will clean up quite well. Oh, yeah, maybe. Anyway, there is a few here that... this one here wasn't too bad. Once again, a bit of a clean up, but, on the surface, actually not too bad. It may actually be the one, we'll see. Anyway, we're just going to go through and keep putting this back together. Hopefully she all works when it's back together. Might have found our covers, actually. These actually are just mint. What do we say here? 18 channel, possible mode, select default. AMRX, AMRX, TX, AOK, no SSB, TX, RX. Okay, perfect front, okay. Yeah, it is actually. These are my notes from God knows when. Yeah, we may steal those covers for this particular one. It's probably the best set I can find. And we'll pop another set onto this one, but we'll probably salvage this front cover too, because it's perfect. I don't know that it's any better than this one here. Both have got a couple of little very small marks, But yeah, both are excellent. Um, we'll chat with what's going to happen with the rest of them. We only want one good one here, so that's why we've spent so much time getting this one ready. And Paul's having a ball there, isn't he, on 144? Anyway, we'll put this one back together with those covers, I think. Okay, so he's all back together, and I'm currently feeding 0.15 of a microvolt into it, and it can actually just hear that. Amazing what happens when you recap, and minus 123 dBm. Anyway, let's give it 0.5 a microvolt, and of course hears that beautifully. And let's go, keep moving up. Around 50 microvolts. Probably could just move that needle just a tad for 50 microvolts, but close enough. Alright, so let's have a bit of a look. Does it transmit? We're on dummy load at the moment, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's on lower sideband at the moment. Got it driving pretty hard there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2. Actually, I'm on 8. No, I'm on sideband, sorry, it's alright. I had to look then. I'm just driving it very, very hard. Okay, now AM we should be getting about 4 watts, 4 or 5 watts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and a bit. Yeah, probably could take that down just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's I don't know if we're going to get much on an antenna. I might just have a quick listen just to make sure it hears a bit of noise. And welcome to 27 megs from Tangambalanga when there's no skip coming in. That's anybody tell us if we're getting out? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. JDW 229. Probably could back that mic gain off a little bit too. I've got this driving fairly hard, to be fair, and probably could just take that back a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, that's got a lot of drive. I might pull the cover and drop that drive back just a tad. Sometimes you can overdo it with the processor. Well, not the processor. Sorry, the mic amp circuit on these things. It's more the ALC. Sometimes you just got to set your ALC maybe a little bit finer than what I have there. So I might just pull the cover and just whip that back a little bit. But overall, reasonably happy. Pity there's nobody about on a 27 megs at the moment to have a quick hello. I don't transmit on 27 a heck of a lot, but I do love keeping these bits of history and doing them up. And oh, hang on, someone's there. Someone way off frequency though. Maybe we've got some skip about to come through. Hang on, we'll have a look. Okay, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Don't ever be scared to pull the covers back off. I know what it's like to have that finished feeling, but when you notice something that's not right, hit it when and I'll tell you what wasn't right was my carrier balance. And what I was saying was overdriven. I thought, hang on, let's just have a quick look. And I just wanted to have a look on the Crow. And yep, sure enough, my carrier balance wasn't 100% right. So, and what was happening, and I've actually accentuated it a bit here at the moment. I've turned it up so that you're going to definitely notice it. Okay, see that carrier balance there? And don't get me wrong, we were getting nowhere near that sort of carrier balance. So let's adjust that up. Okay, so we actually don't use a microphone for this because we don't want any audio getting through. So we can see our carrier there, and what we want to do is get our carrier down to absolutely the bare minimum on both sidebands. So at the moment I'm just adjusting lower sideband, and that's really very, very little, as you can see, compared to what we had with the signal movement before. We can go over to upper sideband. We're going to change sidebands now, and we're going to have a little bit of a look here and just see what we can do here. But I've got this very much on, you wouldn't even see that, it's coming up as 0.5 of a volt, so there's no real output, but we do need to get that down as low as possible. So as you can see, I'm hooking onto the transmit pin over to ground, so I've got no microphone input at all, and I'm adjusting lower sideband here on RV2, upper sideband on RV1. Now, while we're talking about different modifications and adjustments, over here, this little fella is part of the mic gain circuit and ALC. Theoretically, it's more, well, they call it ALC here, to be honest, on both. Just trying to remember how they said this. RV3 and 201 are both, but RV201 on the other side, let me just take that out of transmit for a minute. RV201, which is this fella here. Generally, look, not telling you how to do your business or whatever, generally crank that around and then drop it back a little bit if you think you've got too much gain that is not limiting. But let's have a look at that. I've cranked that right up for the moment, haven't I? Let's have a look. All right, so let's just see what we've got there. 1, 2, 1. Oh, I got way too much there. Hang on. Let's just spin that down a bit. 1, 2, 1, 2. Too much. Oh boy. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Back one. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Now we're getting about hello. All yeah, the old all 12 watts. So 12 watts is nice and legal. Just flat topping a little bit there. Just but you can adjust that. RB2 back a little bit if you need to. I like to set them up right on 12 watts. I know that these can do more, but certainly keeps them nice and legal. And we're looking for display models of how they were pretty much from. Well, they're not. This is not quite how it was from stock standard, of course, because we do have an upmarket VCO block sitting in there, and do have new caps and bits in there. But overall. Anyway, let's put it back together for the second time. But please, if you get a problem, no matter how good a tech you are, it takes a minute to 90 seconds to pull out the screws. And if you see something, hit it now, straight away. I saw that carrier balance and I thought, hang on, that can't be right. And I'm actually seeing one last little fault that I need to have a look at. As you can see, we're a little bit off on our balance here on receive on the oscillator. So we'll hook up our 10.0525, etc., and have a little bit of a quick check of that, and just adjust that, because I would say we're just a little bit out. And by the way, this happens when you go too crazy wanting to get finished, and you realise that hang on, we're not finished just yet. And sometimes better to spend that extra 20 minutes finishing off, because trust me, you'll never get back to these jobs otherwise. It's just what it is. All right, I'll just adjust that upper sideband oscillator, I think. Now I'm using my Hewlett-Packard, my old fella. This is the old 5303B. Great unit, to be honest. Okay, so we're picking up. I'm using a crow probe with a couple of little clips on it, which make life a little bit easier till the clips fall off like they just did. And what we're doing is we're hooking up to TP3 there, and what have we got? 20.104.11, and as you will find out, we're on lower sideband at the moment. We are definitely not correct there. I've got to be honest with you, I took that as a given we had those right, to be honest. Didn't adjust those, but hang on. Okay, so I've gone in a little bit closer for this, because you need to see. Oh, it's going to blur, isn't it? I thought I was being clever with my camera, but maybe not. CT202 and 203, which are the oscillators you'll need to adjust. So CT202 is your lower sideband on the left-hand side. Whoops. And CT203, this magnification is not working very well. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to set this to 20.103.5 to give us the 1.5 kcs. Oh boy, that's really not. I wish I'd not adjusted the camera now. That's getting better slowly. Let's have a look here. Well, I've got to be honest with you. I have a little bit more adjusting to do. I might have to go back and just check. Something is way off here by about a kc. Let's have a look. Someone's been fooling around with this one. Definitely. Hang on, I'm just trying to bring that down to the lowest point there, and then coming back over. 202, let's have a look. We can't quite get that down to 103.5. Now, a couple of possibilities there. I would not be surprised, and something we haven't checked. No, it doesn't seem like. No, that's right. I thought maybe someone's done a modification. We're going to have to a little bit of a look. Can't quite get it exactly where it needs to be at the moment, so I'm just going to go through and check a few things, and I'll put this on pause for a minute while I check a few things, but also try and get this camera back into normal mode. We're back to basics a little bit here. We're just setting our 10.240 just to make sure that when people have gone in adjusting things, sometimes it does pay to just go in and just set all these things back to exactly where they should be. To be very fair, this would not have been causing any sort of issues, but so front oscillator, the 10.240 needs to be 10.240, dictate all your channel spacing, etc. And generally that's not too hard to set. So let's have a look what else is going on. Okay, so we've hooked up to the emitter of Q4, was it? Q4, yep, emitter of Q4, which will give you the output for the 10.695, 10.692, which actually is probably more likely to be where we could be just a little bit out. So at the moment on lower sideband, so right, just checking where we are. On lower sideband, we should be seeing 10.692. We're seeing 10.691.93. So look, very slight adjustment, but you know that's not looking like that's a problem. But I think we'll find the upper sideband will be our problem. So CT2, we can just get into CT2 here. CT2 will be your adjustment for lower sideband, and on your little frequency counter, you're just looking to bring that up to 10.692, if it would just be nice, and 10.692, close enough. Okay, so basically then, swap over to upper sideband. This should be 10.695. Is that right? Yes. I had to check then. 10.695, you're going to be adjusting CT1. You're coming off that same emitter of Q4. And you're basically having a look for adjustment to 695. And this is a basic alignment that should have been done earlier. I must admit, I took it for granted a bit. It's not that far off. I don't believe we've found our problem yet, by the way. Although, yes, we have. Yes, we have. Look at that. Let's see our meter now on upper and lower. We have found it. Okay, so that's good news. But okay, so basically, these are all things that show that I'm getting old, and you know, probably should not apply for a technician job sometimes. But quite seriously, yes, just pick up off your emitter there. Check your 10.695 and 10.692. Obviously, like we checked earlier, the 20.105 and 20.103.5, we'll go back and have a look at that in a second as well, because that was a little bit off, not by much, but enough to make me concerned. But I found the issue that we've been having in the last 10 minutes at least, or 5 minutes in your time. I could say hours, but not really. Okay, let's just flip over and check. Okay, so last thing we just had to do was to get upper and lower on the 20.105, 20.103.5 adjusted, and I'm still not 100% where I want to be. So I will admit that to you, that I just want to get that a bit closer. Some of the things to check, and I need to probably just have a quick look at, just the fact that it's not quite swinging where I'd like to. Sometimes you'll get a fault, excuse me, with a trimmer, where the trimmer's just not swinging enough. This will probably be our issue. If it is, I'm going to cry, because it means I've got to pull this whole board out. The joys of a B model is that you're forever pulling boards out to do things. Don't get me wrong, I have done some nasty sometimes where I've cut this here and cut that one there and put another one in, especially just to test, but in the end I like to sort of put them all back together properly. So anyway, all right, so we are close enough to say that we have finally got this thing. Well, as I said, I've got a slight frequency adjustment I want to make, but apart from that, I won't hold up the video for you to have to put up with me carrying on about that. But as you can see now, we're getting nothing on the meter when we transmit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's being a pain now. I'm still getting a little bit there. I'm just starting to think where I've got. Another little issue that can happen. Watch this. I bet you if I just back off the RF stage just a tad, not much. Yep, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Yep, okay. Sometimes just be careful of this little fella here. It can take off. You can tune for ultimately a lot of power, and it can take off. So notice how I just moved that just a little bit, and all of a sudden, yeah, sorry, and that can be the other issue that can be causing that. But yep, we'll put it back together. Well, no, we won't. Actually, I was about to put it back together, and I thought, no, I do want to just go through and check this last little frequency issue. But for all intents and purposes, yeah, look, we're pretty much very close to the mark where we need to be. Certainly, this has been at least a little bit of a look at the GEB model, and especially following something that we weren't going to get involved in today, because I just took it for granted that the oscillators were set correctly, but they just weren't. So definitely, grab yourself a service manual. You don't need a hugely expensive frequency counter. I mean, this little fella here, the old Hewlett Packard. I mean, I don't know what they sell for these days, but I mean, I've got a Fluke up here as well. which these are all older frequency counters, but they're all working quite well. But for this type of work, really not so difficult. I could set these oscillators up with a spectrum, sorry, with the analyzer up here as well, of course, but I'm just being lazy. All right, well, this video went a little bit longer than I wanted on a GEB model, but hopefully through a couple of mistakes that I made, that you've sort of learnt where some of the checkpoints are to go and have a look at just exactly where you need to go to adjust everything from ALC to oscillators, your 10.0525 and your 20.105, and more importantly your 10.695 and 10.692, which just remember you are working on two distinct sides of the board. So your separation of sidebands is actually on one side, your other oscillators are way back on the other side. So just a little bit of mucking around when you're working on a B model, but it is what it is. All right, 73s. Sorry, this one was sort of like start and stop. I thought we were there a couple of times, and somehow this video went a lot longer than I would have thought it would have to. Anyway, a couple of little cleanups on the end there, and I'm going to go. By the way, I think we've got a cap here that just is not swinging quite far enough, so we'll just clip that out and have a bit of a quick check. I've got changeover ones here, and but for the amount of change that you're going to see on a video, no, not worth showing you that. 9 times out of 10, yes, it'll be the cap that's just the problem there. All right, and when I say problem, at the moment you probably wouldn't pick it up because I can adjust around it so that I would, in CB saying that I would be 12 o'clock, if that makes sense. One of the other things to look out for, if you get something where the oscillators are swinging a bit crazy, check that somebody's not done a clarifier modification and turned it into a transmit clarifier. That sometimes can play with those readings quite a bit, of course. The biggest indicator will be as you move, your oscillator moves with it. So, all right, 7.3s, all the best. Thanks very much for putting up with my having a bit of fun with the GEB model today.